You hear me?
What's up to y'all out there, man? I appreciate y'all stopping in. I think I got a really good, interesting show for us today. I'm interviewing my first professional dom, somebody that's probably more into BDSM than I am. So this is interesting to me. I'm actually really excited about this. I'm very curious as to what his processes are, what his structure looks like. And me personally, as somebody who's, I guess more of a beginner to, moving into intermediate stage type of dom myself, I'm very interested to get a perspective of somebody who does this at a professional level, does this in front of an audience, who holds classes, right? Somewhat of an expert if I had to give my personal opinion. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Sir Leezus.
First of all, let me
And how
say
you doing today, man? I definitely appreciate you coming through.
Hey,
sure.
Listen, I was going to say that I appreciate you definitely having me on. It's always love when I can get on and converse with somebody and share my journey with somebody, especially somebody that's interested in the lifestyle and the BDSM and the community. But I am Sir Leezus. I'm a professional sensual sadist pleasure dominant. I've been in the lifestyle for 20 years. I've been into BDSM for 10. I've been professional for 3 years.
Okay. That's super dope, man. You want to share your story on kind of like how you got into it? What was your transition like? I mean, I've heard it before. My audience isn't really familiar with you, so I want to let them know what's happening.
So I actually started off in a swinger lifestyle about 20 years ago, and I tell everybody, my ex introduced me as she was an exhibitionist. So I got into the swinger lifestyle with her as a couple, exploring. And in that journey, I came across BDSM. A lot of parties would have small aspects of BDSM involved with their events. So you would see it, and it kind of sparked my interest. So that was my first taste of it from the voyeur perspective, just watching, just seeing it. It wasn't enough for me to gravitate towards it and actually invest time into learning it, but it was enough for me to notice it, like, hey, what's going on here? Okay, that's all right. That looks fun. That looks a little interesting. That's different. But then I would keep it moving because, this is my first time in the swinger community. So I'm still, infatuated. I'm like a kid in the candy store with that situation. You know what I mean? So As I journeyed in the swearing community, you get invited to different things, different events, and you start seeing more and more and more, and it just kept drawing me in, drawing me in, drawing me in, till I finally decided to, okay, let me go see what this is about. Let me go have some conversation with people, start conversing with different people, and I kept going, and I got to the point to where I decided to educate myself on everything. So I don't know if I want to offer anything.
No, I mean that's super dope. I mean one of the biggest things that I heard from everything that you said right there is you said you started to educate yourself, right? Because this I think that's a big part of the journey that people kind of sleep on. And the theme of my show is definitely more about like kind of breaking some preconceived notions, right? I think people think that it's all raunch and there's nothing really to be gained from it from a vanilla type aspect. And I would say people are completely wrong, right? If that's all that you think it is, that you're missing probably the most satisfying part about it, right? It's there's a lot more into having these conversations with your partner, learning your partner, right, and then actually figuring out where is the satisfaction for both of you guys, right? Whether and no matter what part of the spectrum that you might be on, right? You might be closer to the vanilla side, you might be closer to the super wild side, but when you get some healthy conversations going back and forth, you figure out each other's I guess kind of like strengths and weaknesses to be, to kind of use kind of vanilla language, right? Well, I think we would probably call them your limits or hard limits, right? So,
It's funny that
but
you
let's
say
just
that.
let's get started. Go ahead,
It's funny that you say that because I was just having a conversation with somebody, and my first couple of years of BDSM was strictly in the bedroom with a partner, with a play partner. There wasn't nothing out in public. When I first started to learn, I first started to explore. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what I didn't like. I didn't know what I was capable of doing. I didn't know what my partners liked. So we were exploring together. I would, see somebody use a toy, ask them about it. Hey, where can I get it? Do you do any classes on impact with this or so, or any seminars, anywhere, you know what I mean? And then I would get it, learn it, bring it back to the bedroom. And then I would have to learn that person, because a lot of people don't understand you can learn how to use something. That doesn't necessarily mean you know how to use it on that particular person to create a pleasurable sensation for them. So that's one of the major things that I had to learn. Like, because I can see somebody get spanked, but that doesn't mean that the person that I'm with likes to be spanked like that. You see what I'm saying? Or the approach, the finish, the end, everything is different. So I started off the first couple of years just doing bedroom BDSM. There was no thought in my mind that I wanted to do a professional. It was just fun for me. You know what I mean? It was something new. It added spice to the bedroom, and I was able to educate and learn something new. It's hard when you're at a certain age to learn new things to increase your sex life. You know what I mean? Because we all think we know it all. We think we got the answer to everything in the bedroom. But when I started, I could make a girl climax from using a feather, or like, something soft, or from, erotic asphyxiation, choking somebody. And it's like, damn, I didn't know people were into that. Like, were into stuff like this. I didn't know my partner was into that. She might not have known until I introduced her to it. But it all comes with exploring, educating yourself, and then taking that initiative to come to common grounds, negotiate what you want to do, and say, hey, let's try this. We're going to experience this. You know what I mean? Figure out if we like it together, if you like it, if I like it, and then take it from that point.
Yeah, there's a lot of patience involved, right? Especially when you got somebody new and you gotta learn all these different things about them as far as like limits, hard limits, and some stuff they'd be willing to try, and so on and so forth. And that's, to me, that's kind of like the interesting part, right?
Yeah.
I kind of really enjoy learning somebody, especially asking some of those questions that were initially really tough for me, even to ask myself. I can remember when I first got in, it was really difficult to ask myself, hey, what do I like? And, when you turn that mirror around and you start answering those questions, you get really honest. You're like, dang, I do like, and here's the term for it right here. And there's a whole community of people that like that stuff too. So, that was it was quite a transition for me. I don't want to take up, I feel like this is you as the guest. I'm really interested in your takes on it, right? I think that I would love to set some more time aside, and maybe we could collaborate a little bit more as far as like idea wise. but I'm very interested in hearing stuff about like your processes, like your how you vet now that you're so far into the game, and how do you kind of navigate some of these the patience and the red
Yeah.
flags that you kind of get. So, but
So
let me start you off with a tough question.
okay,
What were you about to say?
no, go ahead. We can start with the question.
All right, let me start you off with a tough question. How do you navigate the balance between vulnerability and authority in your relationships? Are you just 100% dominant, or are there any weaknesses at all to you that you can
Okay,
show?
so that's a good question. So with me, a lot of the stuff, my process eliminates majority of those issues, right? So I have an extensive process for, let's just call it vetting in general, because I actually have a vetting stage. So when I start off, when I meet someone, my first process, I have an interview process, right? So I interview people. I need you to get to know me as a human. Forget me being a dime, forget me being a professional, forget me being popular in your circuit, my circuit, whatever. Get to know me as a human. Get to know me on a baseline level. See how I transfer energy. See what my morals are, what my beliefs are outside of the community. Just get to know me as a human. And my interview process consists of that heavy, because before you even get to anything with the power exchange, I might not be a person that you can see yourself, being around. I might not be a person that you can see yourself dating just in general. You get what I'm saying? So I had to put that process in, because I get a lot of women that approach me because of what they see online, and they're willing to do whatever because I might be the what's popping in their little circle. You know what I mean? Oh, we going to the Sir Leezus show, whatever. Someone said, oh, he these sexy videos, a whole bunch of girls. So people will come. Hey, I want to submit. I want to give everything to you. I said, you don't even know me as a human. You only know me from what you see online. So I had to take that, and and it's trial and error. I've had situations fail, and I learned from my mistakes. And I have to put that process to let somebody get to know me on a baseline, raw level. When I'm not, I don't want to say in character, because this is me 24/7, but when I'm not in a professional setting, when I'm not out politically as Sir Leezus, you know what I mean? Get to know me when I'm sitting in the crib, there's nobody around, and I can be vulnerable myself. You get what I'm saying? So that's the one thing that I do. And before we continue to and during that process, I also see where you are in your BDSM journey, what you've experienced, you know what I mean? If you're new to it, what you're open to. And we have those conversations early, right? So by the time I get to my vetting process, whatever, you have a feel for me as a human, and if I align with your journey. I tell everything that I say, hey, these are my non-negotiables. This here I might be flexible with. I'm 43 years old. I kind of know exactly what I want, and it's okay if we don't align. I can just mentor you, whatever. We can move that path, but you have to align with my journey. I got to align with your journey, and I tell a lot of people that. There's a lot of women. I don't align with your journey. It's not going to work at the end. We're going to hit that fork in the road. My values, what I believe in, and I'm strong on. So before we even continue to the aspect of the power stage dynamic, you're going to see that during my interview process. So when I do get to the end of the road, there's nothing that you haven't been okay with, that you haven't endured, that you haven't seen and accepted. So I don't have that problem at the end when it comes to do with my authority, because everything that I present goes along with that person's journey. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's deep. No, that's super deep. Man. I definitely understand it, man. I mean, and I think that's like, man, that kind of captures a lot of what I want to reveal, because most of my audience is vanilla, and we have a channel where we talk about a large range of topics, and BDSM just happens to be one of them. One of my personal life interests. It's a part of my personal life journey, right? Part of me getting to know myself. It's a part of a big portion of who I've become at my stage in life at 37 years old. And I think that it gave me a lot of health benefits, a lot of mental clarity as far as some things, and helped me categorize a lot of different things in its proper context. So I think that you explaining that and letting people know that there's a human there, right? There's a human element to this. There is a caring to this, right? I would describe people as kind of like being in my care when when I'm allowed to dominate them. So
Yeah,
that's how I look at it. It's kind of we serve each other to some way to explain it, right? I'm providing something that you need and like, and you're providing something that I need and like, and
vice versa.
these
Versa.
we have these conversations, and that is what makes it work, is that we've gained this trust to, I know that this is where you're at, and vice versa. So I think that's pretty cool. Do you actually spend a lot of time introducing vanilla women to the lifestyle, or most of the
So
women
I
are just ready to submit for most parts?
So when it comes to do with my shows and stuff like that, or maybe events and stuff, yeah, I meet a lot of vanilla women because I'm a performance dom above all when it comes to me professionally. So, and my target audience are vanilla women that that have seen 50 Shades of Grey, and that was it, and that ended their story. So that makes something that I do, and I present what I do to them, and they're head over heels, like, oh my god, like I didn't know that there are people actually in real life that do this, and it's like, yeah, it's BDSM. So the people
Hmm.
that still call it 50 Shades of Grey, those are the people that I promote myself to, because I show them how to correctly do it, how to safely do it, and I show them a different way that it looks sexy, it looks desirable, and you can actually sit and enjoy it with a glass of wine with your partner, with your girlfriends, and it becomes something that you want to go see on a regular. Hey, I want to see his show, or you want to bring your girlfriend to see his show. Now it becomes a girls' night out. Now it becomes a thing on a regular. Hey, we're gonna go hang out. We're gonna go watch a live BDSM show. You know what I mean? So yeah. So when it comes to vanilla people, now when it comes to me and my personal journey, this is why I had to
Hmm.
put the interview process in, because I do meet a lot of vanilla women that see me and see what I do online, and they really just want bedroom BDSM. They don't want to be submissive 24/7. They don't want to be submissive emotionally, mentally. They want to be physically submissive in the bedroom as bottoms. And I have to explain that to 90% of the women
Mm.
that reach out to me. Hey, you don't want to be, and somebody's going to take advantage of this. And luckily, you came to me with this, telling me you'll submit completely.
Mm.
No, you won't. You really just want to get spanked and fucked in the bedroom. That's what you really want to do. You don't want to give up your free will. You don't want to have to check in 3 times a day. You don't want to have to ask permission to use the bathroom. You really don't want that. You want me to tell
Right,
you
right, right.
when to come, when not to come, when to lift your legs up, when to do. That's what you want. You see what I'm saying? So that interview process lets me weave out people that are actually in it, that have a journey that's mentally and emotional. Because my journey is mental and emotional. What you see online is for the people. That's for my professional career. When it comes to me
Hmm.
personally, that physical aspect, the submissive that I've been vetting, she's only done one scene with me in the past 9 months,
Mm.
and that was when we
Okay.
first met. She came to a thing. She, signed up to get a session or whatever. You don't get that until after we do this. We have this mental, emotional connection through the power exchange, and then we can get into that.
Yeah, that's the next step I want to take. I definitely want to slow my vetting process way down, and I guess realistically have even more no's, right? I mean, I come across people that just don't mesh. Those are the easy ones, and you got people who might be willing to try it. Those are a little bit more difficult, but so for me, I have a unique situation. I travel a lot, so I'm constantly in a new city. And I'm usually pretty honest with them about as far as what it is I'm into, and we have these conversations. Sometimes it goes somewhere, sometimes it doesn't, but usually I need to find myself. I don't find myself with enough time to do a vetting process quite like how you're talking about, but I absolutely understand how important it is to be more thorough, right, for you and your partner. So I totally get that. What's up, DQ?
Peace, peace. What's good? What's good, man? Just
Good brother, how you
tuning
doing?
in.
How
Oh
you
man,
feeling?
I'm good, King. I'm good. I'm good. Nice to meet you, brother. Your content is pretty dope. You know what I'm saying? I respect I respect the courage that you have to put this out. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. A lot of people gonna move forward and follow. But yeah, I'm gonna follow back, brother, and just listen in.
No, I just appreciate you being here. That's the DQ, one of my business partners. There are two other guys who I think one of them was up here a little bit earlier, Hits, and another one, my business partner's Brass. He might come on a little bit later, but I know he's out there in New Jersey experiencing some bad weather, so he might be dealing with that right now. But yes, all of us, we kind of checked out your channel, man. Checked out some of your interviews, so we're all really interested in making this something really, really cool. I like your content. Obviously, I've seen some of your interviews, and I was like, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. So, from my education and my experience, because I have a mentor too, he sounds like he really knows what he's talking about. So, to get somebody's perspective up here that does this at a professional level, I felt like it'd be perfect, for what we're trying to do. So another cool question from one of my business partners here. How do you reconcile the power dynamics in BDSM with your views on everyday equality and respect in everyday life for Black people in this country? So let me try to summarize that, because that was a pretty deep question, right? So how do you practice BDSM in a way that probably sometimes, really ask a woman to surrender all the way sometimes? I know you. So how do you do that and still keep the environment respectful for her? How do you keep her engaged and, almost incentivized to want to enjoy it this way?
So that kind of depends on how much control, some people have total control, some people, and everybody's total control looks different, right? And everything is negotiated, of course. So with me, I have certain things. So the first thing I'll tell people is there's certain things that I don't touch. Let me say, so when you come on, I say, the first thing I let somebody know, I won't have any dealing with your children. I won't have any dealing with your work. I won't have any dealing with religion. And I won't have any dealings with family to where I'm going to put you in a situation to where I'm controlling it, right? So I set those boundaries, and early on, before we even start talking, you know what I mean? During my interview process, I'll put it out there how deep it goes for me and what you're actually going to have to relinquish. You know what I mean? What aspects of the power you're going to have to relinquish. Then a lot of the times, a lot of the stuff is discreet to the general public. You know what I mean? There's not a situation to where I need to physically or mentally or verbally dominate you in public in front of people. Most of the people are not going to know unless they're close enough for you to share that with. You see what I'm saying? But then also, at the end of the day, every submissive controls everything that's going on, because I can only do what she allows me to do. So asking that question, I'm only doing what the person allows me to do. And that's all negotiated to the point to where now I'm relinquishing all this power to you, but she's only relinquishing to what she feels comfortable with and to what we both agree upon. And that's right. Negotiation. So a lot of people think, well, Dan, he's completely controlling A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but she had the power in the beginning to say you can only have A, B, and G. And then I got to either accept it or I say, hey, you're not for me. Let me keep it moving. Doesn't matter how dominant I am, how popular I am. I can only do what that submissive allows me to do. So whatever it is, we have negotiated that, and she has, and this goes back to me getting to know her getting to know me as a human. She is okay because she got to know me as a person. And she understands that where my integrity is as a human, as a man, as a Black man, right? Because you got to add that because it's the difference. Your integrity as a human and a man and a Black man are different levels. We know that, right? She has to know that before we even have the conversations about power exchange. So she has that power to say, okay, I don't really like how you deal with this on your regular life. I don't think we would be a good fit. And that can happen. And that's okay. Right. You may not like how I deal with finances, so how are you comfortable with me controlling someone so if I can't even control this for myself? So I have to present that. No dom is perfect. No human, nobody is perfect. There's something, hey, if you can't get a hold of this, I can't see me being able to dominate this. Perfect example, right? I was just watching The Boys. If you ever saw that series. Now I'm a fan.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I see that.
The latest season has been a lot of BDSM on there, right?
Really?
A lot.
Okay.
I posted it on Facebook. It's been a lot. So there was the first part, there's a dynamic. It's a dominant woman and submissive male. Okay. Now they're doing their play scenes, whatever. Now there's another scene where she sees him and she tells him what she's going to do to him. She wants him to do, she gives him the directives. She wants him to do A, B, and C.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think I'm going to do that. And she gets to her, are you, telling me no, this is that, whatever. So she gets into her dominance, asserting her dominance, whatever. And he says, hey, I don't think this is going to work. He says, I need a dom that's dominant. You're no longer dominant in your position at work anymore. I don't want this dynamic anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And things like that. The person chooses. It doesn't matter if you're what matter what sex you are, what gender you are. You as a human dictates what this person can relinquish to in the community as a you see what I'm saying? So it always starts there. So any bit of power is always going to start with what that person is comfortable and see how they see your values and all that stuff. Okay, everything that he aligns with, that I see, I align with that. Now I can take the next step because I'm comfortable with him as a person, as a human, as a black man, as a father, whatever, so and so. Now let me see what he presents as a dom. Because then there's phases. Because in that phase, you might say, hey, I can't do A, B, and C. I present everything. There's nothing out the blue. You see everything before you even put yourself into it any type of way. You see what I'm going to subject you to. So every step of the way, you make a conscious decision to continue. Interview process, vetting process, consideration process, then training. Every step, we're able to sit down, we're able to talk, we're able to say, hey, this is not going to work for me because this power exchange doesn't work for me out in the world because of A, B, and C. It doesn't work for me around my family, A, B, and C. You see what I'm saying? So, that question, they have to know it.
Bro.
Yeah. Huh?
That was a fire answer, because I've had several of these shows and the word consent comes up every single time. Like it's really a dynamic that's built off of consent. It's built off of good communication. And you just you
safe, sane, and
nailed
consensual.
You confirmed it.
Safe, sane, and consensual. Everything you do is safe. You gotta be in your right state of mind, mentally, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Emotionally, right? And then consensual. Everything gotta be consensual. Right. Because if somebody's not in their right state of mind, they can't consent to something if they're not in their right state of mind. Because their decision making is altered. You see what I'm saying? Right?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be safe, gotta make sure that everything you're doing is safe, that you're putting that person, that you're out for that you have their best interests at heart. You know what I mean?
Right.
That they're safe whatever you're doing, whether it's safe, and everything is not physical. You have mental safety, you know what I mean? Emotional safety. You see what I'm saying? Even energy protection. Protecting your energy.
That's cool to hear, man, from somebody, that has their processes and all that stuff down pat. I mean, to kind of hear that in confirmation, I think that's really cool. That's really helpful.
A lot
it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me.
You hear me?
Go ahead.
It's deep with me, man, because they see, they want to know about the shows and all that stuff and see, what's popping up, but they don't get that deep to know how my journey. My journey is mental and emotional. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm just great at performing. That's what I put out there. That's my brand. But if you ask about my personal life, it looks a whole lot different than what you see online. You know what I mean? I'm investing time with my submissive, and she'll tell you I've been presenting myself to her, and it's a slow process. She's been getting to know me since we met. There's no rush for me there. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I've saw some of your interviews like leading up to it to try to get some ideas of about like take the conversation, and I think a lot of them were a little bit more focused on your performances, right? So I wanted to be able to get into the human side, right? I know that there's a person behind all of this, even though you make some great content for the world to enjoy, but I know there's a person.
content though, because we can always talk about content and the shows.
It's coming up. We're gonna get to some of that. Like I said, I want to be able to save some of the spicier stuff, maybe even a part 2. But I think for this, right, while I'm still really early in what it is in my journey as far as talking to my vanilla family that's kind enough to actually watch my shows, I think that I'm keeping it educational so that their mind doesn't leave off of how important this structure is and the foundation of any of the things that you may talk about later, right? Because you can easily fall into, oh wow, he's doing what, he was talking about what, choking her, what, spanking her, and you might lose the whole concept of what's actually going on behind that. So, but I think I think you answered that last question really, really fire, bro. Another one of my questions off the top of my head. So like when you go through your vetting process, you said you gave it a couple steps. You said the last step you said was training. Can you say that again?
So my process, I do interview, right? Then I do vetting. Then I do consider, and then I do training. So my process is, I have a questionnaire that they answer. I want to see where you are in your journey, right? That kind of gives me a feel if you're new to it, if you've been under a dime, if you whatever, so and so. So we're getting to know each other real heavy. That's just flat out, like, we don't got to talk. You take this, forget the BDSM stuff, just get to know me. Okay? Get to know me. Come to some shows, see how I am, regular settings, see how I am when I'm performing, see how I am when I get off. If I'm just chilling in the crib, playing a video game, see how I am, you know what I mean? Holidays, just see like that. Just get around me, get to know. Then I get to the vetting process to where I give you my protocol and I let you see it and I let you sit with it for like 2 weeks. Sit with it for 2 weeks, come back with 40 questions surrounding the protocol. Okay? If you don't have any questions, that's my first red flag. We're not continuing. There's no way you can see a protocol that's going to change your life and you don't have one question. You have a question with every single protocol that's on it. So,
is there anything unusual on the protocol?
Say it again.
Is there anything kind of unusual as far as like maybe what your preferences is on that protocol?
Let me see.
One thing that somebody should have a question about.
So, okay, one of the big things is I have access to all my submissive social media. That's usually a new thing. So that's the thing.
Okay.
You have to ask permission to do basic ADLs via text. Use the bathroom, shower, all that stuff, whatever. You got to ask permission for stuff like that. You have to check in 3 times a day with what you're doing, what your mood is, right? And why you're thankful for being of service. So that's 3 times a day. You have to do that. But see, it's a deeper underlying reason for that, because it keeps you engaged, because I might be busy doing stuff. So then that makes you have to check in. I see what you're doing and I do a mood check. If I see that you're down, you're having a bad day, you're upset, so I'm calling right away. Hey, what's going on? You see what I'm saying? So I'm able to check in on you. I'm able to check your temperature a couple times throughout the day. Then you just say why you're thankful for being a servant. That just gives you, a little bit of motivation to think of some stuff. So that keeps the person engaged. But there's a lot of stuff that I do for that. You know what I mean? Just like when I say the bathroom thing, it's not to withhold somebody from going to the bathroom. It's to remind you that there is someone that you are in service to, that you have to ask permission to do A, B, and C, right? And that's one of the basic, simple, social media is a hard thing. People are so locked into social media. We wake up, first thing we do is get on social media, right? I control social media from my submissives, whether you're on it, whether you're not, when you get off, when you can get back on. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that controls that a lot of us are victims to social media. We're locked in. We're trapped with social media. I wake up, first thing I do in the morning, I don't brush my teeth. I don't use the bathroom. I look to see if I got messages and my alerts on.
That's crazy, right?
That's crazy. The first thing I do after sleeping 8 hours, I don't go eat. You know what I mean? I don't break my fast, right? I don't go to the bathroom, and because we use the bathroom. I don't even wash my fucking ass before I look at social media. Think about that.
It's crazy, right?
Yourself, like, bro, that's the first thing you did when you got up. You woke up today. You got another day ahead of you, and the first thing you wanted to do was get on Instagram. Think about that. You see, you didn't want to go eat and replenish your body. You wanted to get on social media. So I control that. That's one of the big things. The bathroom thing is just a reminder. I'm never going to tell somebody they can't use the bathroom, but you need to thinking about nonstop. That gives you another aspect to think about me nonstop. Sir, may I use the bathroom? If I don't respond in 2 minutes, it's automatic yes. But it's the fact that you have to think about it. You see what I'm saying?
So, and you said, the engagement is definitely important. Wasn't there a step in between protocol and training?
So it's interview, it's vetting, it's considering, then it's training. So the considering process is I put the person in the full protocol, and they're going through it with the consequences that are involved with not following a directive, but they get to see what it's physically like being in the protocol, how it affects them, because it's a difference reading it, talking about it from whatever so-and-so, than physically being in it. You need to see what it's physically like to be in it for a month or so before you make that conscious decision. Hey, it's not for me. I'm sorry. I thought I could do it, and it's no harm, no foul. We're not under contract. You know what I mean? At any moment, you can say, hey, this is not for me. I just want to be friends, or I just want to date if that's possible. I can't, and that's fine. But once we lock in after that, and you went through it, intensively, and then we lock in, then we do a contract.
Okay.
Now we do that, and you're trading and you're working on earning your collar. So that's my protocol. And I have compiled that from the mentors I've had in my life, and what works for me. I saw what didn't work for me. I saw what worked for them, and this is what works for me the best. So
I'm stealing some of that. I'm letting you know right now.
Huh?
I say I'm stealing some of that. I'm letting you know now.
I tell people, as long as you have as long as I mentor a lot of people. Like, people hit me up just on some quick, like, hey, I got questions. I'm talking to this guy, and I say this: as long as somebody has a process from A to B, there's no way you could meet a guy and he tells you you're his submissive without a process in between. I don't care what he calls it, as long as there's some type of process in between to where he's getting to know you, he's vetting you some type of way. You know what I mean? The first red flag is, hey, you want to be my submissive? You swipe right on Tinder, and y'all are in a relationship before y'all go on a first date.
Right.
For a week. It's like,
tripping.
I tell people, would you marry a person that you swipe right on Tinder? You ain't meet them yet? You got a collar on. A collar is like a wedding ring.
Yep. It's a commitment, definitely.
So you playing with this. Like, you playing with it. You know what I mean? It's with us in the community, we take it serious. You playing with it. You let a guy put a collar on you because it was cute.
Right.
Nah,
that was one of the things. That was one of the things that I least expected. Right, I didn't expect to come into the community, and once I started learning that you required to be more patient, right, and sometimes in more hostile conditions, right. You know what I'm saying, to say the least, because you might get somebody that's real hot and ready. They might pass all your check marks and be ready to do all the stuff that you want to do, but you gotta slow down, and you have to be dominant. That's when it's time for you to be disciplined, right? So very, very interesting. That was one of the things that I kind of didn't realize or didn't expect at all coming into it. So another question, right? So have you done any physical touch at all before you've gotten to training? Anything physical or intimate?
With the people? Yeah, it depends on the person. But I've had submissives that I've never had, I was never intimate with. Sexually, you know what I mean? We just had the power exchange dynamic. And there's subs that we were intimate for every day during the whole process. You see what I'm saying? So it just depends. Depends on the person, because it might be somebody that I was intimate with for a while, then they came back and they wanted to explore, the BDSM. So it's just different depending on the person. Like, so that's gonna change. There's no standard like that for me. So that could change. That, like I said, I've had submissives I wasn't intimate with. I had submissives that I was fucking every day.
Okay. So like, let's say one of your subs is needs a softer touch, right? One of your subs might be going through something, and just might be in a space where they were kind of need delicate. Is that something difficult for you, knowing that you come from this dominant stance all the time?
So now it depends on how much it's affecting the person. If it's a permanent thing or it's something that I'm having a bad day, all you got to do is communicate and verbalize what's going on, because you will have things that you're obligated to do. So if there's a day to where you're like, you know what, like something happened at work, this is that happened, I'm not the dumb that's flat out. If you communicated with me, we're gonna be good. If you're not doing something, or you're snappy, or you're taking something out because you're having a bad day somewhere else, that's gonna be the wrong path to go down, because you're definitely gonna regret that at the end. So communication is key. You know what I mean? It's just like, but there's people in life that don't understand that. Now that's something that might need to be taught. There's like people that you can go to the drive-thru at Burger King and that person's having a bad day, now they nasty with you. You're like, bro, I just wanted to order a Impossible Whopper, man. I ain't do nothing to you. Like, why you? But there's people that don't understand that. You have to be able to, decompress and remove yourself. Like, I can go on to work with an attitude for something that happened at home, and I'm still speaking to everybody at the job. If I'm that far gone, I need to remove myself in a space and call out of work. That's the same thing with a submissive. If you're that far gone, sir, I'm having a bad day, I have my job, so-and-so, is it okay if I take it down early, or if I whatever, so-and-so, as long as that's communicated, I'm not a person that's gonna be like, no, you need to come do this, so-and-so, this, that, because people have, we're still human, you know what I mean? Now, there might be doms that is like, hey, you signed up for this, these are your obligations, you have to do A, B, and C. You have to put, your priority is your dominant. You see what I'm saying? Especially like if you're a master slave, you got to think about, I tell people, look back in like the medieval times. You can't tell the king, my leg hurt, I don't feel like bringing you your food. It don't work like that. What happens? It's off with your head. You're hanging you're down there with the common folks dangling, because you was having a bad day. You told the king or the queen you didn't feel like bringing them their mead. You know what I mean? Nah, it don't work like that. So everybody's different. It's a big difference if there's a submissive that's my partner, or that's just my submissive. So it's a lot more flexibility if she's my partner as well. You see what I'm saying? As opposed to just being my submissive. You see?
Okay.
I'm around my partner a whole lot more than I'm around somebody that may be my submissive. So my submissive might have a lot of times that are every Tuesday and Thursday they have to come and do their servitude and all that, whatever, so. Now, say the Tuesday, she not feeling good or something like that. She might be like, sir, I'm not, feeling good. I'm kind of mentally drained and stressed. Now, just me being flexible, I'm going to say, okay, well, come Wednesday. Okay? I might say come Wednesday. So I can be flexible with that. But if you don't communicate, it's not going to go good. You know what I mean? I've released the misses because they were going through stuff mentally, and I say, hey, you're not going to be able to do this because you're not mentally available, and it's okay. We can come back to the table. You have some stuff going on with your family, which is way more important, because if it has to do with family or your kids or work and all that, whatever, I'm not going to hold any of that against you. You see what I'm saying? I'm not going to hold any of that against you. And it might be a situation where we got to step back from the dynamic. You need to get yourself together mentally, emotionally, energy-wise, and then come back. That might be a situation.
Okay. Good answer. So what are some cultural narratives around masculinity and dominance that you had to unlearn before you got into BDSM?
That there's no race, gender, power exchange can come from it can be different dynamics. You know what I mean? Like there are the most powerful black men in the world that need a space sometimes to be vulnerable, and they want to let go and give that power to somebody. So us as men have been, black men, we got to be assertive. We can't show any type of vulnerability. We're not allowed to cry. We got to be super, super strong. And one of the things that I've learned is that I can understand when someone needs to be in a space where they can let go. You know what I mean? I'm not a switch, so I don't have any situations where I put myself in a submissive state, but I've seen men want that. I've seen men that I've looked up to, like, saw as real strong figures, and really submit to a woman that they were comfortable for being vulnerable around. You know what I mean? But I understand that now, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. So that like that initial impression, it didn't like have you kind of looking at him a little different because you saw him being submissive with a woman.
Well,
Did it mess with you a little bit?
I learned, hell yeah, I'm looking at somebody different. Like, how are you, like, how are you letting this woman lead you? You know what I mean? Or even looking at someone being submissive before I learned about that, to where everything is yes, sir. You don't, thinking somebody doesn't have a voice, like, you don't have no saying anything. But then I understand that there are some people, or like the perfect example, seeing someone that's a boss out, a girl that's a boss out of the community, seeing her being aggressive towards everybody, men, white men, black men, Asian men, women, so this, that, and then get into a space where she's just, sir, on her knees, how can I serve you? It's not a shock now.
Mm-hmm.
Before, like, yeah, but you were just a boss over there. Now you're submitting to this guy that doesn't seem like he's any type of alpha male, whatever, so, but it's just about the person that you're comfortable with, and you're able to relinquish that. So that's something that I learned, and that's a view that was changed for me after being in the community, seeing all types of different dynamics, different races, different genders, and even seeing them switch. You know what I mean? Seeing people change the role depending on, how the energy was in the space, in the room. You know what I mean?
Right. That's interesting, man. You got any events coming up?
Yeah, I got a plethora of events coming up. My next event is actually in Philly. So that's kind of what I'm focused on. I do my LEEZUS.
That's your hometown too, ain't it?
Huh?
That's your hometown too, ain't it?
Yeah. I'm based in Philly.
Okay.
My partners are in Connecticut, Bridgeport, Connecticut, and Staten Island. So I'm out there a lot with the ladies. So if I'm not here, I'm there. And I feel like Atlanta is my second home now because I get a lot of bookings in Atlanta. But my next event is in Philly. I do a meet and greet once a month. It's a Black Ram meet and greet. It's called the Philly Lifestyle Beat. So I just try to put all types of lifestyle people together, give them the space, safe to come hang out. Black-owned establishment, good food, good drinks, good vibes. So I do that once a month, the end of the month. And then I have my LEEZUS experience, which is that's my production, to where I have erotic poets, I have burlesque dancers, and then I do my live show. So it's a whole production. It's not just me doing a BDSM show. It's a whole production, whole vibe, whole turn up. Whatever you need is there.
So you got a whole crew with you.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my next show. That's August 31st. So the meet is the same day. I usually do the meet the same day as the show. So the meet is early, like 3 to 7. Then the show doors open at 9, and the show is usually done by 12. And then it's a turn up party afterwards. Clothing optional.
Okay. You have any advanced tech picked up along the way that that you've come across now that you've gotten a little bit more advanced, or at least some more time under your belt?
You said advanced tech?
Advanced techniques. I'm sorry, my
oh
yeah, I said techniques. My signal kind of fading a little bit, right? Like, so my specific question, right? I'm gonna ask it from my point of view. Okay. Any advanced techniques that you might would share about from my situation, whereas I'm trying to introduce vanilla women into the lifestyle? What would you say to that?
Okay, so introducing someone, I would say it depends on what part of the lifestyle you're introducing somebody to, whether it's the BDSM or the swinger lifestyle or just flat out anything kinky. So my thing is slow walk and explore, figure out what you like. If you're talking about BDSM, everybody has practiced BDSM in the bedroom. So an easy way is to find a common ground with someone and say, hey, you ever been spanked during sex? They say yes. They said, okay, that's impact play. That's a form of sadomasochism. You getting spanked is a painful thing. So you're getting pleasure from pain. The person spanking you is getting pleasure from inflicting the pain. Now that's the baseline of BDSM, right? So then you explain to them, hey, there's ways to increase that. So if somebody gets the hair pulled. That's the same concept. So if you find a common ground for someone, you're able to slowly introduce them to different things. I always start off with sensory play because that's the easiest thing. People like to get touched. So you pull out a feather or a rabbit tail or a fox tail, nobody's gonna look at you crazy and jump out the bed. That's something that's elusive. You've always gotta start with the slow stuff. So slow walk somebody through.
For sure.
For anything is to look at it first. Don't engage, look at it first. See how people respond to it by visually seeing it. If you come to one of my shows, they want to take you to a show. Or, hey, let me show you this content. What do you think about this? I wouldn't show me hitting somebody with my big flogger. I would show hand around the throat, me using like a feather or something on them. Like, okay, that looks, sexy, whatever, so and so. And then you can talk them. You'll be able to say, well, he's doing sensory play, and the choking is called erotic asphyxiation. It creates a sensory overload. So you're able to tell somebody that. And then you can say, hey, I can show you because I've been practicing. I learned this. I do this as well. So it's easy to like that. If we're talking about lifestyle swinger stuff, go to a club to watch first. Just go as a voyeur. Don't go to participate at all. Just go to watch. Just go to see if that atmosphere is something you can handle mentally. You know what I mean? Just that's it. See if you can handle just being in there. You know what I mean? That's always the step I tell people. See how you feel just going there.
Yeah,
you're waste your money.
Yeah, I ran out my first time. I definitely did, but I say I ran out my first time. The first time I was just a shock. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, what's going on up in here, bro? But I found myself thinking about it the rest of the week, and then before I knew it, I met somebody that was patient with me, and that wound up being my mentor. Me and her, we still talk to this day. I got a question from the audience though. Stavia Henderson. How do the women who know that they're in this community, how do they find a dominant? So it's basically like how would you suggest women go out and find doms?
So now the typical answer people would say go to like FetLife or something like that, but you're going to get a lot of people that just put dominant in their profile that may not necessarily be doms. I don't really call people fake doms. Because that's like me calling your husband a fake dom if y'all are practicing power exchange in the bedroom because he's not on the level I'm at. So it's not fair to do that. I would say if you can find a munch, get on FetLife and find a munch. A munch is a meetup for BDSM. It's usually free. It's at a public place, and you get to meet people in person. Go and socialize and talk to people. You'll meet submissives. You'll meet doms. You'll meet riggers. You'll meet people that do fire play. You'll meet a whole bunch of different people. Now, you might not meet somebody that you're attracted to, but you're meeting the people that are in these communities. From that point, they'll start, hey, this is a good thing to go to too. Hey, there's a lot of doms that are here. Then people will start referring you to stuff. You have to put yourself in the community and be active to meet. Don't do it online because you're going to meet somebody that's going to copy and paste somebody. I saw somebody copy and paste my whole profile and put it on their page. And I'm all like, screenshot it because they recognized something. They was like, yo, this is your whole exact thing. I'm like, yeah, it's social media. Anything you put out there, anybody can take that and do whatever with it. You know what I mean? I had people take my pictures from the thing and talk about Dom in Connecticut, so this is that. I'm like, those are my spanking pictures. Like, what are you talking about? I just start putting my tag under the stuff. But I was like, once you follow the first trail and you start following some people that are in the kink community, people will start popping up. Events will start popping up. You follow me on Instagram, you might see some other doms that I'll share or that'll pop up in your algorithm because you're following one person, and start to follow people that are in the kink community, people that you see that are posting events, that are posting content. Start to follow them, and then you'll start seeing stuff. You'll start seeing more stuff. It'll start popping up on your feeds and everything like that. Whatever area that you're in, go on FetLife, look at events, and see a munch. Don't go to a play party. Go to a munch. If you do have a dungeon in your area, look at the website and see when they have, meet and greet nights. See when they have professional dom service top in there. See when they're doing, okay, we're gonna do like a road club, we're doing sensory play, and then you'll meet people that will attend that, and then people will invite you to other stuff. So you gotta do that to start, because it's not something where you can, there's a bar, you can go to a bar in any neighborhood and go have a drink. You can't find a dungeon in every neighborhood and go get spanked. You see what I'm saying? So you're gonna have to, use the resources that you have in front of you. Like I can find a dungeon in any state across the country because I'm acclimated in the circle. I know where to look and I know who to message. Hey, I'm in the town. Where's the local dungeon at? Where's the swinger club at? You know what I mean? Hey, where the rigger people at doing ropes tying? Something, you know what I mean? I'm not in the rope, but I'm just giving you an example. So I would say start with FetLife and look at the events. Don't search through the people. Don't look at the events that are on FetLife in your area and see if there's a munch at a public place, not somebody's crib, a public place that you can recognize and say, okay, I know this spot. This is on 5th Street. I've been there before. Okay, I'll go. I never knew they did that there. And you'll be shocked. It'll probably be a spot that you've been to a couple of times. And in the back, there's 20 people that are in the community sitting there having drinks and socializing. But that's how it works. So that's where I would say to start finding, that doesn't mean you're going to find your down there, but you will find people in the community you'll be heading in the right direction to put yourself in those circuits to actually find someone that you might vibe with, that you might say, I want to take this power exchange journey with.
Yep. You'll recognize them. Most of the time they'll have on name tags.
Yeah,
they might have on some kind of dress code on the website also to distinguish themselves from the rest of that's in the restaurant. So this is but it's a thing, right? So, but you got to go out there and socialize. And a good place to start is FetLife because they have the whole events tab like he's explained in there. So that's a pretty cool question. You got any questions for me? Anything else you just want to share without getting too raunchy with it?
Nah, because you say raunchy, I'll go right down that path. So no.
I know you will. Look, and I sit here and I be chomping at the bit, man. It ain't just you. It's not just you, bro. So I feel like I definitely want to find some time for us to be able to schedule a good round 2, and we can purposefully have a conversation that's intentionally spiced up, right? Because I feel like when I had these conversations, I'm being super reserved, trying to stay educational because I don't think a lot of people really understand some of the health to it, right? And it really is a big part of my story as far as like some of the, some of just like the self-confidence I got from it, right? Like just being able to not feel like, dang, I'm not the only person out there who likes this, right? I don't have to like this in secret, right? I can actually tell people this, right? And it was liberating, it was like beyond liberating to know that there was this whole world out there where I could just be me. You know what I'm saying? People gonna find bad stuff to say about you regardless. But if you're doing that as yourself, then you're gonna have to just, some stuff you just gotta block out the noise.
Find your people, we embrace it. And I always say find your kink. That's my hashtag, find your kink. I embrace every kink as long as it's nothing illegal, you know what I mean? And it's respectable in the community. Let me say that, not in the vanilla world, in the lifestyle community. Find your kink, whatever, and we will embrace you.
What's like that? What's that? Oh, my bad. I thought you was done. I'm breaking up a little bit. What's that big flogger tool that you use called? What's that one called?
The big flogger. See, I don't name my.
Yeah, the big.
Huh? The big one. Oh, that's my mop.
What's the big one called?
They call it a mop. They say you gonna bring the mop out. They call it a mop because when I hold it, it goes all the way down to the ground and it sweeps on the ground. And right before I use it, I kind of sweep it down, whatever. So they kind of got the nickname of it, calling it a mop. And then I put it on my shoulder and then I put it. Yeah, so that's my
that joke look pretty tight, man. I get me one of them if I had to put it on the airplane. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Well,
that might be a little inky.
I gotta check all my stuff because when I travel to do a lot of these things, and I went one time through the airport and they started pulling the stuff out. They had to call these supervisors over. They took me to the corner. I'm like, oh man, they about to call the CIA. This should look dangerous. I got weapons of mass destruction in here. So
right.
Yeah, never again. So I had to go check the bag. So I know now that I check everything, and I
so you
look crazy.
Are you past the briefcase? Are you in a double bag at this point?
Man, I got the biggest suitcase that you can buy, and my shit is at 50 pounds every time I travel. All toys.
Oh shit,
It's at
that's
50,
crazy.
all toys every time I travel. I can't even. Yeah. So that 40
How did you?
pounds like a frontier, that don't work for me.
How did you move from like just being, in the bedroom to being, on stage with it? How did that happen?
So what happened was I was teaching swinger one-on-one classes,
Okay.
right? I was hired to do something. Then I started. Then they asked me, well, what else do you do? Because they liked everything that I was doing. What else do you do? I'm like, well, I'm in a BDSM too. So now I started at this point. I started doing that at like parties where people asked me just to bring my stuff. I wasn't hired to be there. They were like, hey, if you bring your stuff, you ain't got to pay to get in. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll bring some floggers. I'll bring some stuff for the girls. So how I transitioned, the person that was booking me to do these swinger one-on-one classes said, well, what else can you do? I'm like, well, I'm in a BDSM. They're like, well, you think you can teach some couples? I'm like, yeah, I can teach some basic stuff to couples. And I did a couples class, and it was amazing. And it took off. Then we did a couple of them. Then they're like, what else? What else? What else? And then I'm like, something. And as I'm doing it, I'm teaching the classes, and people are asking and stuff, and I'm showing them some of the videos, and people are like infatuated with like the videos. I'm showing them like, hey, this is how it looked in real time, and so on. So they're like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. I said, you know what? Let me post something. I posted something, and that shit went viral. And I'm like, damn. So people really like the way I put the BDSM out there, how I do it personally. And I'm all like, okay, let me put another thing out there. Then I started learning how to edit the stuff, whatever. So then we talked about just doing a show. Like, hey, let's put an event together, right? No, first we were just doing like a meet. And we started doing like a meet, and I was just doing light stuff. Like I set up all the toys and everything like that, you know what I mean? Then decided to, like, you know what, I'm going to put a show. My first show I did was an hour and a half. When I say it was the longest drawn out thing I've ever did in my life, and I'm sitting here, I'm ready to fall asleep. I'm like, I don't know what to do next. It's too long. People are on their phone. They going to the bathroom. They going outside to smoke. They doing their taxes in the background. I'm like, it's crazy. When I say it just wasn't it. And then I started, I used to be in the music industry when I was younger. So I'm like, you know what? Let me see how I can incorporate that and make it an actual performance instead of a demonstration. So once I did that and I started perfecting that, whatever, and then I linked up with somebody else and did a show, and we decided to do an event called Pizza and Porn, and that took off, like actual show wise. That took off to where it was sold out we sold out every month. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that was like my first thing of doing actual like shows, like turning into a show. I was doing it in, I was like service type, and that's what I didn't know it was called that way back then. But I was just, doing stuff at parties and stuff to set up, and people want to do scenes, they want to do, so I was just doing scenes. But to actually do it as a show instead of like a passive demonstration, that's how I switched it to that. And that's the difference between me and a lot of people that just do demonstrations. They do passive demonstrations. I do an actual show for the crowd. So I don't use the furniture. I'm facing the crowd the whole time. You see what I'm saying? So that's how I transitioned to that. You know what I mean? So, and then putting the content out, people, hey, do you travel? Yeah. Do you do this? Do you so-and-so? I went to, then I got booked for Exotica. Then I got booked for this. Then I got booked for that. Next thing you know, it just keep going. And within 3 years, I'm probably one of the highest, if not the highest paid professional male black dom in the country.
Yeah, that's fine. Congratulations on that, man. That's dope. And you describe yourself as, you said it's a sensual dom, right?
So sensual sadist pleasure dominant. So I put all of that for a reason.
What exactly does all that mean?
I choose, if I have to choose, I'm going to be sensual, right? If I'm making a personal choice. But I can be sadistic if I need to be. If that's what you need to get you where you need to be at. Or if I need to be sadistic to make you conform to where you need to be, and that is with consent. You get what I'm saying? Not me just forcing it, whatever. And then I say pleasure dom because if somebody comes to me as a bottomless submissive, I'm going to do. Somebody comes to me, I'm looking at the comment that just popped up. If somebody comes to me, whatever pleases you, that's what I'm going to do. If you want to be tickled, that's what I'll do. If you want to be spanked, you're blue, that's what I'll do. If you want to be choked and you want me to do oralism and make you moan and whisper words of affirmation in your ear, call you a pretty princess and this, that, whatever, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do whatever gets you to your pleasure point. So that's what a pleasure dom is. So whatever
Okay.
the person wants, that's what they do.
So needless to say, you take the pleasure that your submissive gets from her experience very seriously.
Mm-hmm. Say that again.
I don't think people. I said so. To with that being said, you take the pleasure that your submissive gets from her experience with you. You take that seriously. That it's almost that's a whole part
It's all about pleasing that person. And if you meet anybody that has engaged with me, my thing is to find what gets you going. Find what's going to take you there. It might be impact, it might be sensory, it might just be the close proximity and you smelling my cologne and my hand around your throat and me just talking to you. It's different depending on the person. But that's what I'm great at. I'm great at reading body language, reading energy, and on the fly with it. Most of these women that I engage with, I haven't had months to figure their bodies out, years to figure out what their likes and their dislikes are. I have a 3-minute window of interacting with them to get you to the point to where you like, oh, I want to book a session with this motherfucker. Get this toxic light-skinned devil away from me. Because I've worked on that skill set. You know what I mean? I've worked on being able to please. I've worked on being a master of seduction. It didn't just come out the blue. You know what I mean? It comes from just reading energy, knowing when you can go and when you don't go. It's just like the dude that knows when, to talk to a lady, knows the right thing to say to a lady, knows the right move to make, as opposed to the person that's like, bro, you won't get it. She's not interested. Why are you still trying to ask for her number? You see what I'm saying?
Right. What is there like some lead-in questions that you normally go straight into for that 3 minutes? You got like a little.
Well, but the first thing is you have to let people come to you, because if you go to somebody, you're losing half of the battle, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a stage, so I'm 6'5.5", I'm light skinned, I got blue eyes. It's easy to put myself in a place where, girl, okay, he's easy on the eyes, whatever. Have a conversation with somebody. Somebody might say, hey, I'm into this, I'm into that, whatever. And then it's just a easy going passive conversation. Oh, I'm a professional dom. You ever saw 50 Shades of Grey? Well, that's what I do. Well, okay, so I'm into this. I'm like, well, sensory play might be your thing, whatever. Well, I never so this, that. And I say, have you ever done A, B, and C? And I'm like, okay, well, listen, I could show you what sensory play looks like. Let me see your arm if you're interested in it, because, you're asking me A, B, and C. And then I'll show them something like, hey, this is sensory play. You know what I mean? This is erotic asphyxiation. I might, hey, do I have permission to put my hand? Yes. Then I'll show them that. And then I'll add some little tricks into there. And I say, how did that feel? Now, some people it did nothing for me. Some people are like, damn, I almost came and you didn't really do shit. I'm like, all right, so that's something you would be into.
Right. At that point, you know that's something that you might have to look a little further into that right there. I got you.
But right now, it's a little different because I'm popular, and people will say there's always going to be somebody like, oh, that's the guy that does this. Oh, I heard you do this. Oh, we saw you doing this online. So now they're curious. So they're asking me about it. So now they're curious because they've seen it. Now the engagement, because their expectations, they're already turned on. So it's a little different now than when I first started. But also, I'm a flirtatious person, and I was a preferred single guy in the lifestyle. So being around people, I was popular on that aspect, so that made it a lot easier. And just knowing, and then coming from a background of being a basketball player, played high school and college, popular from that, you have a different type of demeanor around women when you're a ball player. It just happens. You understand? Well, you know what I mean? Athlete, athlete demeanor. But now, and not being a person that's pressed helps out a lot, because I'm not the one initiating. You initiated to me, then I'm going to take it to that next level. So I'm going to wait. I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna be casual, I'm gonna eye fuck somebody, I'm whatever, so and so, and I'm gonna act like, you know, we just gonna be cordial. But then as soon as you cross that line and you ask that question, oh, this is what I do. Now it's bow, 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 and I'm hitting you in the face with, oh shit, he's choking me, he's telling me to do a Kegel, he's whispering in my ear, he's touching on my arm, damn, I almost came myself, I gotta go. So it gets like that.
Yeah, man. Good times. Definitely sound like good times there, bro. I mean, I think, man, this was a great interview.
Yeah,
I don't want to, I guess, overdo it, but I think we had a real good spot, man. I'd like to, you know, because now all the stuff that's in my head is all the stuff that's, man, I need to say that. I need to say that because it's all, you know, I can't think of nothing else that's clean at this point. So I think we've done a great show, man. I really appreciate you coming by, bro. Hopefully we could do this again, maybe sometime next month or somewhere in that type of neighborhood area if you got some time. I'll reach back out to you, bro. But I definitely appreciate you coming by, man. And I appreciate my audience for tuning in, man. I'm glad there's some other people out there in our little community that's interested.
So listen, I tell y'all, all y'all got to do is Google me. Just go to Google, Sir Leezus, SIRLEEZUS. Just put it in Google, and I'll come up. Instagram is my most preferred platform, my most engagement. But I got a crazy Twitter. I got a crazy loyal fans. I just dropped a new video on there today. But my Instagram, SIRR.LEEZUS. But if you put me in Google, Sir Leezus, I'm gonna pop up.
Fire. Appreciate it, bro.
Player made, system water bottles and Gatorade. Gotta say, a lot of people want me to fade away. Dedicated, keep my game sharp as a razor blade. Day to day, with my gold teeth in the paper fade. Player made, system water bottles and Gatorade. Gotta say, a lot of people want me to fade away. Dedicated, keep my game sharp as a razor blade. Day to day, with my gold teeth. As I'm rolling this blunt up, I sit and think about the come up. Hit your chick with that lumber, she somewhere deep in the slumber. I ain't Stevie, no wonder. I had a pocket list. When you pimp, it's a hit or miss. Vernacular snapping, she breaking bridges to get a kiss. Look what done happened, her nosy friend and got in the mix. She know I'm a hitter too. If she tell him, I plead the fifth. Player made, system water bottles and Gatorade. Gotta say, a lot of people want me to fade away. Dedicated, keep my game sharp as a razor blade. Day to day, with my